To town or not to town? That is the question. Today the papers proclaim the death of the city centre, but there are other headlines telling us how to bring it back to life. And listen to the end if you want to hear how freedom of speech is always in jeopardy and how you can help to keep it alive. Meanwhile, signs are the killers of trade, tourism and all things Dublin are working their wonders in the government, while a few, some rich like Michael O'Leary of Ryanair, some not like Duncan Maguire of UKEO, are looking slightly outnumbered. The Business Post notes the need to get the Taoiseach fighting battle number 1 to scrap the cap on airport numbers. Meanwhile, the same paper highlights battle number 2, the fight to lower, yes, we said it yesterday, to lower 13.5% VAT to 9%. As things stand, the paper notes, planners dictate Dublin's flyer figures and no mere minister can counter their diktats. Or can they? Long ago, breaking, or let's say bending the rules, was Mr. Green himself, Eamon Ryan. On the back page, Matt Cooper quotes airline boss Michael O'Leary calling out the minister on his nod and a wink letter to the planners about the gas terminal in Shannon. The message is clear. If ministers can boss the planners in Shannon, they can do the same and pressure them to lift the cap in Dublin Airport. Meanwhile, and still with the Business Post, UKEO owner Duncan Maguire breaks down your restaurant bill to prove, to me anyway, that high-rate VAT has got to go. Rent 10%, wages 30%, food 30%, VAT on food and drink 17 to 18%. That leaves 13% of your bill to pay rates, insurance, electricity, etc. UKEO has other worries, most notably November's Dublin riots. One result? My bookkeeper has told me that his clients in the burbs are up 50 to 100%, says Maguire. He himself, sadly, is shuttering UKEO for good. Now, high VAT has some front bench support, but no one backs the Dublin riots. And yet, we have Conor McGregor suggesting they were inevitable. You reap what you sow, he tweeted in November, adding, Ireland, we are at war. A spread in the Irish Mail on Sunday quotes the MMA fighter extensively, describing his texts as incendiary. Yet the very same paper tweaks a minister's nose for trying to stem the tide. Humiliation for Helen McEntee, runs the double-page banner in the Mail. So if we're already confused about the dividing line between freedom of speech and simple hatred, look at the Mail and become even more confused. I know I am. To misquote the murderous Manzini in Kind Hearts and Coronets, I never longed for McEntee as much as when I listened to McGregor, and I never longed for McGregor as much as when I heard McEntee. Also rowing in with regulation is the European Union. The business section of the Indo reports that Brussels is out to regulate businesses using generative AI. The Sunday Times also leads on matters media, with Minister Stephen Donnelly suggesting a ban on smartphones for those under 16. Sadly for him, that scheme, even as I speak, has been tasted and spat out by experts on radio and, yes, on social media. The cover of the Sunday Independent suggests that justice may yet be delivered following the horror and death of sepsis sufferer Aoife Johnson, who died nearly 2 years ago on the floor of University Hospital Limerick. Her readily recognisable symptoms went untreated for a terrifying 12 hours. Sadly, none of the findings by former Chief Justice Frank Clark can be used against those who may have been responsible for the girl's completely avoidable suffering and death. But to end on a lighter note, Brendan O'Connor in the Indo casts a slightly jaundiced eye on the razzmatazz and rulla-bulla surrounding the American coronation of Kamala Harris. If you live in a Rust Belt town hollowed out by drugs, are you really going to get excited about a bunch of smug, rich, liberal elite types reaffirming each other? Is there a danger that the Obamas and the Clintons and Oprah might seem slightly condescending? Just slightly, Brendan. Just slightly. Before I go, a special message. I started this channel when RTE foolishly pulled the plug on their weekend editions of It Says in the Papers. I wanted to provide a shop window for Irish newspapers with words of praise and, yes, the odd note of caution or criticism. But I'll have to finish up on Friday for good, unless I get some support from those papers and from others anxious to protect free speech and a wide range of reporting and opinion. All of you, readers, editors and sponsors, will decide my fate over the next few days. You can help right now. Like, subscribe, comment and tell your friends. And if you agree with me that newspapers are worth saving and supporting, do get in touch. My email is below in the comments. If you want just one example to prove that the presses need to keep on rolling, you might well look at the long-running Kids Can't Wait campaign in the Irish Sun. Go to dublinchampion.ie and click on Saturday, August the 24th for my comments about that. This great Sun reporting and campaigning fights for 300 children with curable but currently neglected spinal curvature. Those children get support from the Sun, while their Kids Can't Wait campaign and other great journalism get support from me, and I in turn get support from those people so kindly subscribing, commenting and keeping this show on the road. Now, there is no mobile phone, no virtual equivalent. The printed paper is quite a different animal. Permanent, not fleeting, easy to read, and capable of carrying star photos and serious features. Please keep the papers alive and keep this channel a cheerleader for their efforts, alive and kicking as well.